Hey guys, welcome to another episode of All Bass Creations Ambient Bass Effects Mornings. So I definitely appreciate you guys hanging out with me. See, we got a few questions here. Make sure y'all hit that like button while you're hanging out with your boy. Definitely helps me out a lot. And if you find this information useful to you, feel free to hit that Cash App, Super Chat, all that good stuff, or gifts or hype. But definitely, at the very bare minimum, hit that like button and subscribe. We'll see what we got. Pocket of Stinkies. Appreciate you subscribing. Let's see. Let's get to some of these questions. What's going on, folks? Appreciate all y'all chiming in. Appreciate your working to me. Let's see, playing here. So my bass is by a company that is no longer in existence, but it is the Artisan Bass Works. This is an Artisan Bass Works bass. So Artisan Bass Works, custom Fidelity 6-string. So this is the actually only bass like this. So, unfortunately you won't be able to grab one. But yeah, that's the type of bass I'm playing. And as you can tell, it has a special angle to it, that allows it to just perfectly balance. I don't have to hold it or nothing. No neck dive. Neck just stays where even if I pull it down here, it just stays. So one of the benefits of it. So let's do some explaining here. What we got going on. So first off, we got the Empress compressor up there. So that's my bass sound. But, also then I kick on the Pog 3. Which also has the freeze function. And I can do variations of that. I can make it glissando, do different things like that. Add in the Tone X1s. Those are currently running a JHS color box tone model. So pretty much I turn my JHS color box, which I'm talking through, into a stereo pair, excuse me, without having to buy another JHS color box V2. Of course, those are running about $450. So in order to have two more, I would need the space, and I also would need to be able to pretty much fit it on this board and then run them stereo, and it's a lot. That's like, that's a lot of money there. But thanks to ToneX, and these packs are available on the Patreon. Don't forget about that. Also have some guitar amp on here I like to use. So, it gives me a few different options here. That's why I love the Tone X1s. Matter of fact, it's supposed to be a link in the description. Unfortunately, for some reason, it's not always going where I need it to go. But I'll make sure you guys have it in the somewhere. All right, so then we kick on the beautiful Mercury X. This is actually one of the stock presets. So you can pretty much have those upper harmonies just sustain like that. Also have a freeze function available on the Mercury X. And with this particular patch, it actually drops it down an octave. So you got a lot of different features. The Mercury X, Enzo X, and the Enzo X also have the ability to be octavers as well. And I mean beautiful octavers. So you can do unique things like that with the Mercury X as well. And I think one of the biggest things I find with a setup like this, it allows me to I have access to all the effects I need, but I also have the ability to do a ton of experimentation that I just cannot do with other devices by themselves. Plus you got the you can do a whole ambient show with just a whole ambient show with just the Mercury X. Just freeze that. Just sickening. And so you have the ability to design like impossible spaces. Like this is what I love about I'm not limited to just real spaces with the Mercury X. I can create things like that almost sound like you're in outer space. You know, to me that sounds like outer space. I know it doesn't technically have a sound, but you know, just so much going on with the actual sound, and it doesn't get in the way of my actual bass sound. And even while I'm freezing it, I still have access to the effect. So you know that becomes a whole different thing. Oh, and what I didn't explain is I have two foot switches, MIDI foot switches down bottom that are controlling things. The 10-foot switch for the graviton M1 and the MIDI captain. So ultimately, I have 10 foot switches down here at my feet. MIDI captain I use for control of different pedals in combination, or if I wanted to play keys. Right, let's bring that down. I don't know how that got so loud. I'm actually using my MIDI captain as a sustain pedal. So I design, bam. So that's actually me controlling that freeze function and the sustain, and also it's controlling some stuff with the Enzo X when it's on, all with one foot switch, which I mean makes my life tremendous. I mean, so much easier. It's ridiculous how easier my life is using MIDI to trigger things like these hold modifiers. So I can trigger both of these hold modifiers and anything else I need from the POG 3 and the Future Impact, all from one foot switch. And I also have the rest of the foot switches set up on this page on the MIDI captain. I know you can't see it, it's down bottom, but the rest of that I have set up for individual control. So if I want to see, now the sustain is separate. You know, and I also do have the actual sustain pedal down here for this. So if I wanted to control those two sounds separately, I can still do that as well. So come on. It's a little far back, sorry. There we go. All right, so I can. See, now I've got individual control. And if I want to control them together, both of them, you know, so you got options. So I don't actually need the sustain pedal when I perform. I just use my MIDI captain to control things and also control the MIDI. Let's see, let me switch the patch on. If I want to trigger the Enzo X, it's a ring modulator. Just so you can hear it by itself. One of the most musical ring mods ever. What's going on, folks? Appreciate that. Yeah, things can get nasty with the right setup, folks. It's not that you need a million pedals. You just got to find some pedals that are very versatile. Now, versatility and sound quality. Let's talk about that versatility versus sound quality, right? So, for instance, you can have a multi effects unit that's like a lot of the multi effects units, in my opinion, they give you, they always give you a lot of stuff, right? But they don't always give you, every effect isn't as high quality as it is in the Maris, the Maris Enzo X and Mercury X and things like the Pog 3. Like, you'll be hard pressed to find a multi effects unit that can do everything that the Pog 3 can do as an octaver, So it's I prefer these variations of effects versus just some copies. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times in multi effects units, they're just emulations of the actual effect. So, for instance, something like the MXR bass filter, would be emulated in there, but you get you a good pedal. Right? That's not even with a bass tone. So you don't have to have all these individual pedals, but you need to get some effects pedals that have some really great sounding individual effects, not just a lot of effects. So that's my take on, versatility versus sound quality. Now, that being said, the reason I use these particular pedals in general is all of them are so versatile that I'm not stuck with one thing. I can play the Enzo X. I can play the Enzo X with the keyboard, right? So let's go to some patches here. I don't know why I always do this with my hand. I like the touchscreen factor, but. And that is my iPad with the EP. So, these pedals definitely add a lot to my setup. Like things like the Tone X1 just allow me to switch. Look how little space they take up. Yeah, it definitely is you can get I'm trying to tell you. Let me let me mute this. Just amazing pads. So just be doing weird stuff. Let's go back there. and I can still play that same sound with my bass. So, I think it's not about having every pedal in the world. I think sometimes we get caught up on trying to grab every single pedal. I think it's important to, when you do get a pedal like a Enzo X, really spend some time. Really spend some time with the joint, because it did take me it is a bit of a learning curve with the user interface of any pedal. Like, I had to learn every single one of these pedals, including the MIDI controllers and a CME H4 MIDI Pro I have built under the board that distributes MIDI wirelessly from, well, not wireless, it's wired to the board, but it accepts, where are they? Where's one I can show you? Well, it's called a WIDI master. So I have a bunch of wireless MIDI being transmitted to different places. So from this MIDI controller, it's wirelessly transmitting to the iPad. And I even have it so on things like the Enzo X, when I press this foot switch, it's like it affects the release of the sound, even when I'm playing on bass. So, yeah, definitely explore the modifiers in the Enzo X and the Mercury X to get the most out of those units. Let me see. Also got this organ sound. Let's see, what's this, channel 1? And that's actually the POG 3. So got like a little mini module keyboard thing going on here with this pedal board. And as an additional layer of functionality, same thing with the Future Impact. Let's go to bam, bam. You guessed it right. You guessed it right. That is the Thriller bass. That is exactly. That's exactly what that is. And it's available on the Patreon if you have a Future Impact V4 or V4 VIP. That Michael Jackson preset pack has that, and the Man in the Mirror. Which one is? Yeah, this one. So yeah, it's all that. That's why I love the Future Impact. You can literally clone all the vintage bass sounds, and that can be played. Um, that can be played with a keyboard as well. So if you hold this on switch, it'll say GLB right here. Then you press program, and you just make sure that this parameter knob is on note on level, right? It'll say BSS, meaning this right now is tracking my bass. So now we'll change that to C and T, which is synthesizer. Press the on button. Change this to channel 2. So there you go, right there. You know what I'm saying? So you got your whole key bass rig ready to go. Right on there. So you don't even have to go buy expensive, Moog keyboards and all that other stuff. You can literally just get you a Future Impact. Now, with that being said, there's some, let's get to some other tones here. Let's switch this back to the bass. So getting something like a Future Impact is going V4 VIP. Look how small it is, about the size of my hand. Doesn't take up much space on your pedal board, but when you go into the software, it's like you're getting 4 oscillators with 3 different waveforms on each that you can mix and make custom oscillators for each oscillator, pretty much. Excuse me. But yeah, that within itself is amazing. Not to mention you will have all the features you need to recreate all those old vintage bass synth sounds, right? So I highly recommend any pedal you see on this board. And I'm going to get to the one I know a lot of people want to know. MXR bass synth, right? So again, I won't be doing a preset pack for this, of course, because I don't particularly have a way to. So I mean, I suppose I could do like diagrams or something, but nah. I am going to do a members only for the YouTube and Patreon, going through how to get you some of the best tones out of it. I will not be copying any tones with this pedal. This MXR bass synth you will get much more out of it and enjoy it a lot more if you're not trying to recreate vintage bass synths. So, for instance, I'll show you the difference. Right, that's the best I could get that on there. I could spice it up with, let's pick a preamp here. Let's go to the Ampeg. Let's run Ampeg. And that thing loud too, by the way. A loud low. Now I do like. I'm not saying the MXR bass synth has great tracking as well. Mind you, all of these pedals track well. Like as you've heard, all of them track really well. Like all 3 of these have amazing octavers. All 3 of them. So if you don't want to have to get like a Pog 3, but you want a synth pedal, you want some reverb, some modulations that sound great on bass, filters that sound great on bass, distortions that sound great on bass, or create bass synths and have mono bass synths and polyphonic synths, I recommend this. It'll give you all of that in one pedal and give you like some of the highest quality versions of those effects that are not just copies of vintage effects. You know what I'm saying? They actually allow you to do anything you want to do with those parameters, with the modifiers. But we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, all of them track well. So that's not an issue. It's not whether this track's better than this or this. They all track well. It's really what you're playing, putting into it, and how you have it set up. A lot of people don't have this pedal set up. They just pulled it out the box and started playing, and was upset that it didn't do exactly what they thought it was. But I had to set up a lot of different parameters in the global settings, like I'll tell you one right off the bat. Switch it from the 5-string to the 4-string tracking. You don't need, if you're really going to be creating bass synths, you're going to need to play from this low B on the E string and up. This is not, go debate somebody else on it. Listen, I don't even worry about if pedals can track down here. Yes, all these pedals can track all the way to my low B, but that's dumb. Excuse me. You know what I'm saying? Because let me tell you why. How can you take advantage of the 3 different voices that you have here if you're playing down here? You can't. You have to play up here where you can take advantage of the sub, the unison pitch, and you can take advantage of the upper octave voice as well. So it allows you to have a combination of all and use the pedal fully. I know they kind of, when they were selling it, they was like, oh, you can just play down here and you don't ever have to change anything. Who cares if you have to play down here or up here? That should not be a concern. What should be your concern is, how do I get the right performance, and how do I enhance what's going on with the sound, and how do I work with the pedal? How do I, rada versus just, I don't want to change. You're going to have to. Or just play your bass. And when somebody want that type of sound, just tell them you can't do it. They'll probably get somebody else. So it is what it is. So just make sure that you take that in consideration with octave pedals and things like that. They all track better from this low B, from this B on the E string up, so, and that also allows you to, again, take advantage of different octaves. And I'll give you another example of that and why I say that. So if I turn on this Pog 3, right? Right, so think of that, right? So you got the octave down that's playing the octaver that's playing the octave down. Then you have my dry pitch playing the unison pitch. I still got plenty of room to do stuff here. You know what I'm saying? And see, now if I come down here, straight mud. It's tracking. Just straight mud, because below that low B, this low B is already running at like 30 something hertz. You know what I'm saying? Like it's already a low sound. Right? So when you take that octave down and you throw it in there, now you're just creating mud, right? But if you keep it above, but if you play here, you're still getting that low B. You're already getting that low B, right? So if you just keep that in mind, now essentially what I'm doing is my low B is now this B on the E string. right? So now I got free range from here all the way up the neck, right? And you know, so you got, it gives you options there. But if I wanted to kick in an octave up, 2 octaves up even, or even a fifth, right? Let's bring these down. So now it's like I have a huge stack of sound because I'm only stopping right here. I got that low B, I got this B here, octave, a fifth above that B, an octave above this note, this B, and 2 octaves above. So I always recommend you know, if you're going to use an octaver or a synth pedal, keep it in a certain range so you always sound good and it always is supporting what you got going on versus trying to fight what's going on, what's actually happening. But yeah, so another little tip for the MXR bass synth here is to get you an expression pedal. Now you'll turn these 8 presets into like 16, maybe even 24, depending on how you look at it. So I can morph between those settings, right? I can go up 25. I'm heeled down right now. I'm gonna go up 25%. So now I got a really complex bass sound there. If I go up halfway, $75%, all the way up. And so I can then use that for intros, solos, and this is all in one patch. Like this is that same one that I created for, as close as I can get the Thriller with this particular sound. You know what I'm saying? Again, it's not going to be spot on like the Future Impact, but it, you know, it even sounds like a real keyboard. It's crazy. Like if you decide to use that on a gig, like, you know, you have an MXR bass synth, nobody's going to be like, oh, that's not the exact Thriller sound. You ain't going to have to hear that. So it'll be fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's not the stock joint, right? I don't use no stock presets on majority pedals. Only pedals I use stock presets on is the Marriage pedals because their stock presets are insane. But so I replaced all 16 technically presets because you got a heel down and you got a toe down when you have the expression pedal hooked up. So that's how I'm getting those 2 sounds out of one preset here. So, I mean that right there is one of the main reasons why it's been able to make it on my board like that. Like that is crazy. That's really the fact. I mean, not that you can do that with these other pedals, mind you. If I wanted to morph between settings and things like that, I just would do it differently with the Enzo X or the Pog 3. They actually have like a crossfade on the Pog 3 where you can choose two presets that you already have programmed, morph between them, or you can do two custom presets just for that particular preset patch. You know, say it was number 11, preset number 11, you can create two different custom presets within that and morph between them with the Pog 3. And you can do that through the flexi control of the Future Impact. So if I assign the flexi control to the expression pedal coming out of the Luminite Graviton M1, I can morph between settings with the Future Impact as well. What's going on? Usual suspects in the house, appreciate you. No, if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe. I definitely appreciate the support, you know what I'm saying? And hit that hype button, you know what I'm saying? Hit them reactions for me. And if you feel up to it, you know what I'm saying? Join the Patreon, support the channel, join the memberships on YouTube, whichever one is more comfortable for you. Check out my preset packs on the Patreon as well, folks. Like I said, this is going to be a members only video when I do these different settings for this, and where I really deep dive, show you how to truly get to the sounds, you know, I like on the MXR bass synth, because I can't create a preset pack for it. But that's going to be Patreon and YouTube members only. So if you're not part of that, you're going to miss out. But if you want some of my other preset packs for stuff like the Tone X1s, Future Impact, Enzo X, Mercury X, C4 synth, you know, got the C4 synth pack on there as well. The Zoom pedals, multi-stomps, MS60B plus, MS70 CDR plus, and Zoom B6. All those, and we got what, 20-something preamp packs for the Tone X1s, like the color box on there, Ampeg SGT, TC Electronic BH500, the original joint. So check all that stuff out when you get a chance. And that is one thing I like about that expression pedal feature with this, is it blends the presets. It doesn't just like morph between them. You know, it blends them. So if I want that grittier texture of the other, it's like I'm using 6 oscillators at once. And as you can see, I one preset I'm making all these different bass synth sounds with because of the expression pedal. So I can do stuff like so I like I said, I'm never sleeping on this MXR bass synth pedal. I just don't use it how a lot of people try to use it. I don't think I know that's how they sold it to you and that's how they market it to you, but you gotta understand, they had to do something to get you to buy it. You know what I'm saying? If they just started showing you random bass sounds, that would have been cool. But the reason they did that is because a lot of people are trying to get to these different vintage bass synth sounds, and you know, quite frankly, a Moog is very expensive. You know, or you know, to have all these different analog mono bass synths around, or it's a lot. What's going on? Appreciate that. Good morning to you as well. So yeah, I would say, man, when you get this, if you get an MXR bass synth, just realize that you got to use it as its own synth. The same way I use the Enzo X. I don't try to recreate sounds with the Enzo X. I just use the Enzo X and I create sounds with it. I hope that's making like sense to folks. But when I want to copy a vintage bass sound, I definitely will pull out the Future Impact V4 VIP because it can do that. And it's designed specifically to be pretty much a very versatile version of a bunch of mono synths. So that's always a bonus. Let's see what else I got on here. This one really is like a bunch of different presets in one. Like as I'm sweeping back and forth. So this is with my toe down, right? This is like 75% going to hit. Right? Before it was. So this kind of takes that filter out a little bit. Then when you get to the middle, then when you get heel down, you can get some really nice sounds with this thing. That's what I said. Don't think because I'm saying that the Future Impact V4 VIP is better at duplicating vintage synths that the MXR bass synth isn't worth getting. It definitely is. That's why I have it. And it's just about what I'm using it for. Like, that's not a sound that I'm trying to copy. That's a sound that I just created. So, I recommend not even worrying about that. Appreciate you subscribing. I cannot pronounce that at all. And I would not butcher your name on here. But thank you for subscribing. I definitely appreciate you. Man, I'm going to show you guys guitar rig, but I got to find a way for my computer not to be acting up while I'm running guitar rig on my laptop so I can, screen record it, while I'm doing this. Or, share my screen with you guys so you can see what I have on guitar rig. Because only reverbs I've heard that you can get, or like kind of a system that I've seen that's kind of similar to what the Mercury X can do, is guitar rig. So guitar rig is like a $200 plugin that sounds amazing for mostly guitar stuff, but I don't use any amp modeling in there. But the modulations, the distortions, the delays and reverbs are all insane. And you got a bunch of modifiers in there as well. So you can do things like you see me doing with my pedals, but in the computer. which is useful when you're recording. So a lot of times when I'm recording, I try not, unless it's an essential sound, I try not to create the entire ambient sound here. This is mostly for live. When I'm doing it in my computer, I'll use something like Guitar Rig to basically sync up with the song, different things like the reverb time, the delays. I can set those to exact beat, sync up with the song that's going on. You know what I'm saying? So that ends up working better post-production wise, you know what I'm saying? And so if you want to step your production game up on the recording, and you can throw Guitar Rig on everything. Vocals, I use it for vocals, horns, everything. So don't sleep on Guitar Rig either. But hopefully I'll be able to show you guys that. But they kind of, like I said, it's making my computer, it makes you guys' experience terrible. So we'll figure it out. Let's put some phaser on it. That's with a little bit of phaser on from the Enzo X, but with let's switch to my other setting here. Let's bring these back a bit. The crazy part is and so this is my color box setting that I use for my actual bass playing. So the other setting I was using was for more chordal, when I'm using like the keyboard sounds. This one is for my actual bass. So it works well for synths as well. Just giving them a little bit more beef. Show you. Just takes it home for you. So I like the fact that I'm able to switch from I have generally I have these settings set up, as you can see, for more of a two different almost like two different octaves that I can blend back and forth. If I wanted just the low octave, if I want to add a little bit of the upper voice to straight upper voice. So, having that type of flexibility all in a pedal that's this size, and granted, you do have a learning curve with this as well. You have to memorize a lot of stuff. People don't realize that about this pedal. You actually have to memorize quite while it's no extra screens and menus or apps like people quote want it. When you don't have that stuff, now I got to memorize everything that's not labeled. So I got to memorize what I programmed to all these different 16 slots. I have to remember the secondary functions. Mind you, there's 18 parameters altogether. So you're talking about it's more than 18 actually. It's like, yeah, it's more than 18. But right here with these 6 knobs, you got 6, 12, and then the global settings was another 6 settings. So you're talking about, that's 18 settings that you gotta have. Just know, well, at least 12 that you have to memorize, because there is the 6 that's labeled. That's just what it is. It's labeled, but you still have to memorize what each function does, where you can find it, and all this other stuff. So don't think it's going to be just pick it up and play and then it's going to be smooth sailing from there. It's not. It's a learning curve to it as well. So one feature that doesn't get talked about a lot with it, though, is the sustain function. So I can hold this button here. It's just I'm not playing a note anymore, and it'll just hold it for me. So I don't have to sit there and try to, I like that for church, actually. You know why I like it for church? Because I could do stuff like this. I could just hit a note. Right? Say they preaching, rada, 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 and then we going, it keeps me from doing extra work. And it's a nice function for it, because now I essentially have, unlimited, sustain with it. So if you were wondering, this doesn't have to be a switch for here. To switch this, you can change that functionality as well of this foot switch to be a sustain function, freeze function for it. Keep that in mind. But it actually makes a nice octaver. Now let's compare that to I changed it, sorry. Matter of fact, let's go to I love this pedal. I know it's been having a lot of problems with the POG 3. A lot of people have had to send them back. I personally had to send mine back so they can reprogram it. It's a firmware issue. But, man, when I say when it's working right, it is amazing. Cross fingers, I haven't had any problems since I've had it, gotten it back from them. They seem to work out their firmware issue with it. Because, to be honest, the POG 3 is a multi-effects unit. You're getting all those octaves. You're getting panner in there because it can pan any of those octaves. You're getting filters. You're getting this input gain allows you to add distortion, an attack. You can change the attack of your sound. And you got 3 different types of filters in there as well. It's not just a low pass filter. It's also a high pass and a bandwidth. Then you got a detune in there along with a spread, which is essentially like a very short delay sound to it. So, which is why you're hearing Just tracks amazing. Like what? And I love the spread too, because it makes your sound so much bigger. I can leave that octave down in the middle. If I take the spread out, right? I mean, that joint tracks. Like how many pedals that joint keeps up too. It's not like it doesn't feel like I'm dragging it along. You know, Electro-Harmonix has always been amazing with their octavers and their pitch tracking, even with things like the Mel 9, Key 9, the V256 vocoder, the Ravish sitar. The tracking is always amazing on Electro-Harmonix stuff. So I'm not surprised, but, you know, good. You can create some crazy sounds with this joint. By the way, I will be doing a preset pack for the POG 3 as well, so you'll have access to all these sounds as well. I just haven't finished creating it. It's a lot. It's a lot in there to explore, and it does take getting just the perfect settings. I will say that for me to get like that filter like that, I'm not gonna lie, it was took a little bit more tweaking than I would have liked to, you know what I'm saying, or experimenting, not even tweaking. But it was a small amount of just moving this, just moving that, just a smidge. And if you overdo one or the other, those just wouldn't sound that smooth and creamy. Mind you, I'm using the foot switch. I mean the expression pedal. Now, I don't like to use the envelope. It does have an envelope on here, and you can change the direction of the envelope, but I haven't been able. The envelope, for me, was like makes the filter sound digital, versus using the expression pedal like this is giving me the exactly when I want it to move. Excuse me. Which is nice. So not a bad sound there. This is the envelope filter I was able to put together. So I definitely like the wah using the expression pedal a lot more with the POG 3. The other crazy part is you can play the keyboard, the organ, and still play your bass through the effect at the same time. Which is also amazing, because if you wanted to play, technically, if you wanted that to use the POG 3 as an octaver and an organ module for two different people at the same time, you technically could, which is crazy. Or if you wanted to play a sound here and, you know, whatever you want to do. You know, whatever you want to do there. You just got to turn off the freeze function. And it's crazy how the same setting for the organ sound different for bass. Like, it's not the same as like the Enzo X, where when I play the sound, it's going to be the sound. You know what I'm saying? Like either or, whether I play with the keys or the bass. But the POG 3, that organ module is completely separate from your bass or your actual bass sound there. And it's the same exact settings. So just something else to worry about. It's got to be on focus to use the freeze. So that's also something you can use it for. You could just use it as that upper octave, like sustaining like that, right? So that instantly gives you like almost like a keyboard sound. Say I ran that through the phaser. So now you can add some movement to it. Flanger, chorus, ring mod, envelope filter, twin filter from there's a twin filter setting I made on here. you can do so much with these pedals individually. When you put them all together, it just kind of eliminates the need to have 15,000 pedals up here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just, with the MIDI incorporated, it just, like, hands down, these are the best pedals for my situation at the time. I couldn't be happier with my setup at the moment. You know, if I need to pads or anything like that, of course you got the Enzo X there. You know, if I need, I got 1,000,001 lead sounds on here, you know. Yeah, that's stupid. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Don't forget about the ARPs. Yeah. The ARPs is insane. In combination, this is where Enzo X and the Mercury X together get insane. That is crazy. That joint, wow. So even with the arpeggiator on the Enzo X is very unique. You know, it is very, you'll be hard pressed to get those type of sounds out of a multi-effects unit. So, you know, I definitely recommend you try out some synth pedals. You know what I'm saying? Try out some different sounds. And like I said, you won't be disappointed. It's not like if you get any of these synth pedals, well, let's exclude the MXR bass synth from this. Getting any of these other pedals is this, or this. You know what I'm saying? The Mercury X isn't really a synth pedal, but you can definitely get some synth-like things out of it for sure. But getting those is going to give you access to using those same effects that they use for the synth on your bass. You know what I'm saying? Or on your guitar, whatever it is you're playing. Look how much mileage you get out of one note with that jank. Yeah, the line where they meet is, to be honest, is the Enzo X. I like the fact that I can play the Enzo X. I can take that same sound, right? And I can play it still. And I don't have to do anything. I can just go play. And I can just immediately start playing. So that's where the line would be for me. Like, the Enzo X is as good as it gets in terms of, this is also polyphonic, so I don't have to just play those single lines like there, It's polyphonic. So, and on top of that, on the Enzo X, you actually do get my favorite algorithm from the Mercury X, the Prism reverb. So they give you the Prism reverb in here as well in the Enzo X, and a stereo delay. So, I can use this as my delay unit as well. I can use it as my reverb unit. I can, if you go to any of these, right now the reverb is off, but if I come over to the ambient section, this is just the Enzo X by itself. Just sickening. Yeah. So, and I just have all the reverb on the Enzo X. I have all the reverb on my pads turned off, so I can have all that stuff on the Mercury X. Because the Mercury X is my delay unit, it's my reverb unit, because it does have a whole pre-delay section in there that you can use. You can put all the different, so you got what? You got delay, reverb, preamps, a dynamic section which changes, like you can, with a freeze, and there's also like compressor, stereo compressors in there. and like a link compressor where it'll compress each side, left and right, separately. And same thing for the limiter. It has a limiter, and then it has a limiter link, which allow same thing. Freeze, diffusion, and swell. So along with the preamp section, which has a tube preamp, a transistor preamp. What else we got on here? And an op amp along with a volume pedal. So if you want to use the volume pedal to like mess with the panning, or if you wanted to have the panning oscillate like that, you would do that. You would do that in the preamp section with the volume pedal. You know, filters, pitch shifting. You got what? 1, 2, 3 different pitch shifters on here. You got a whole modulation section with unique modulations like hazy, which is one of my favorites. Very lo-fi sound to it. And you got a full. Your dry signal never gets touched unless you want it to with the Mercury X and the Enzo X. So it processes the dry signal in stereo by itself, and then the synth or whatever wet signal in stereo by itself. So you always can have your actual bass tone if you wanted to come through while you're using reverb and everything else. So, you know, you got that dry, beautiful sound there. Appreciate you, Justin, for subscribing. Thank you. If you haven't already, join my man Justin and the other 2 people that have subscribed during this. James, actually 4 people. Pockets of Stinkies, and we just call my man JMH. I don't want to mess up your name, but I definitely appreciate all y'all support and hanging out with me. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out the Patreon for preset packs and all that good stuff. You know, I kind of miss my C4 synth. How many of y'all C4 synth users? My presets are on the Patreon, but for that as well. But the C4 synth had this, like, I made this harmonizing patch on there that was crazy. Well, for me, Boss processors, they always been good. Like even now the ME90B, that's a good multi effects unit. You know what I'm saying? But when you talking about, you gotta remember, like I always tell people, keep everything in context. Like I said about the MXR bass synth, if you get this and you enjoy it for what it is, and use it like a synth of its own, and not trying to copy other synths, you'll be happy with it. If you want to copy other synths, this not the pedal for that. So, same thing with the multi effects units and processors. You know, they will get you by, and they're meant for more versatility than they are the actual best individual effects. Like, it's a reason why people still buy the original effects, is because they have a sound to them. Now, I will say the Zoom has gotten pretty close with some of their emulations, and Boss doesn't really have to emulate anything. They just kind of put in their pedals into there for the most part, you know, so they are just pretty much, they know what their pedals sound like. So it's easier for them to make a multi-effects unit that is only dealing with their pedal sounds. Things like the Quad Cortex or the Anagram, you know, they're going to get you some really nice stuff, but you got to take into account that they are not always going to sound exactly alike. Like I had a Line 6 HX1, and I love the reverbs and delays in there. The modulations, none of them sounded like anything close to the pedals that those pedals on there that I had used. So I didn't particularly care for the modulations, but the delays and reverbs, and actually the pitch shifting in the HX1 was pretty good as well. So don't sleep on that either. Yeah, they definitely have some good signal routing options. Well, most of the multi effects units are gonna have that though. You know what I'm saying? Where you can route your signal in different ways, especially if once you get up over that $600 mark, most of them are gonna have routing things. That you can do. Like Whole Tone came out with a pedal that has like some extreme routing stuff with it, and it comes with a ton of different uh what is it, like the outputs. The range of the outputs is crazy, and the routing you can do with the outputs on that whole tone thing. Now, are those gonna sound better than? Are those like? Just put it like this: you'll find some stuff in there that you like, and just use it as it is. Don't try to worry about it making it sound like something else. Just make it sound good for you. I hope that makes sense to folks. Like, I just don't. I think a lot of times people are chasing tones, and that's how you really break your bank. If you really want to spend some extra money, go ahead and start chasing other people's tones instead of exploring your own. You'll spend a whole bunch of money going in a circle to come back to find out that you just wanted to be you all along. So go ahead, be you up front. All right. So just good gracious, you just hit it and it just sounds crazy. So we'll come over to, got some different stuff here. Let's go chant. See if we can find an open loop here. That's crazy. I use all 200 loops on this SD card. I don't really record directly onto my looper pedal because then I got to transfer everything off. No. No. So, okay. So that's a tricky question. Not really tricky. Let me just explain. So, I compress. So this is my compressor here, the Empress compressor. The question I was being asked is, do you compress your signal before going into your ambient and synth effects? Yes and no. So when I'm using the Enzo X prefers you not to compress your sound. So like, if I compress the sound, it doesn't get the attacks it needs rather. Appreciate you at home on 2 for subscribing. Thank you. Appreciate you. So it prefers that. It actually prefers this type of tone. Like a very low mid sound compared to other bass sounds. They like more upper mids, right? So because of that, I just essentially bypass everything Enzo X when I'm going into the Enzo X. Now for the Future Impact, the bass MXR bass synth, and the POG 3, I compress before I go into those. It generally gives me a better results. Let me see something here. See, these track great with that compressor on. I think I had, what was those fourths? I had fourths and fifths programmed in here too. I be doing stuff and don't remember I did it. Fourths. Yeah. Ah, I didn't realize I had that done. Okay. I created more patches than I thought. But yeah, so you don't, I recommend for a lot of, you have to experiment with each pedal and with each synth and ambient effect. Well, especially synth pedals, you need to look at how the pedal is tracking. Generally, they will have some tracking parameters. So for the future impact, right on the front, you got the note on level and the note off level, as well as the input level here. So this input level needs to be set to a level where when it is being triggered, see how that red light blinks for a second, but then it drops down to that yellow one. So that's ideal. The attack of the note. And I have my note on level to like 50 and my note off level to like 59. So with that, with the MXR bass synth, you need to change the tracking to 4-string, right? And you need to play with the threshold of it. And then from there, you also have that compressor on there. So, I would also play with that setting as well. Appreciate you, Dave, for subscribing. Appreciate you. Now, the POG 3 didn't have any tracking parameters, but it tracked perfectly right off the box. Enzo X, you're going to want to pay attention to the note persist setting and your ADSR setting for your envelope. So definitely check those settings out and that, and then experiment with your compression, seeing what works. Now, typically for me, the ratio for the compression is going to be a 4-to-1 ratio. So on my Empress here, I have that 4-to-1 ratio already. I'm pushing it now because I have my mids boosted, but don't sleep on the so you can get a very between for my bass sound. Let me see what it looks like here. Yep. I got the Empress compressor, very first thing I'm running into. So I'll explain my pedal order real quick for those that are interested. We got the Empress compressor running into the Future Impact. From the Future Impact to the MXR bass synth. Then we shoot over from the to the POG 3. Then Enzo X. From the Enzo X stereo, mind you, we coming mono into the POG 3 from the MXR bass synth, and we're going stereo the rest of the way. So the rest of the signal chain is stereo from here. POG 3 coming out of his stereo into the Enzo X. Enzo X jumps down to the Tone X1s, left and right. I know that's counterintuitive, but it's just how I think about things. Excuse me, when I'm working live. So again, left and right. And then we have stereo coming into the Mercury X, stereo into the Jamman Jamman Solo HD, which is a great looper, by the way. Very clean samples. Just really captures great samples, great loops. Plus, you got 200 loops built in, and you can have an additional 200 loops with an SD card. And coming out of stereo out of here into the Canvas stereo line isolator, I have off to the side here. And this entire board is being powered by a Canvas Power 15. One power supply, one, plug. So basically one plug, and I plug all this up. And underneath the board is also coming out the side here is a H4 MIDI Pro, which I can connect wirelessly to or with actual MIDI plugs and USB MIDI as well. And connected to that, I actually have this MIDI controller hardwired to the board, but I can do this wirelessly. And then I have the Graviton M1 connected to the CME H4 MIDI Pro wirelessly, and this has a wireless 10-foot switch pedal down here on the floor, and then I also have a MIDI captain on the floor. So that's essentially. Oh, this is just the foot switch for the Jamman Solo HD for stop, tap tempo, up, down for the loops. So. Cool. Ever compress on the way out? Yes. So on the way out, the Mercury X is an amazing unit to have. Get you a Mercury X, period. And I'm gonna tell you why. This is gonna put it over the top for you right here. I use this as my end of the chain for compression, a little bit of saturation from the preamp, and filter, like high pass filter, right? So without it, that's with the Empress compressor and the tone Jedge Color Box V2 tone models I'm running on here. Now let's kick in the Negus preamp that I created on there. And I created a second preamp setting on here that's just no extra saturation added. But this one got just a touch of, soul added to it. Without it, with it, so the Mercury X doesn't just function. That's what I said. It's really a multi-effects unit. You basically want to be able to create any type of reverb that you could think of. Pretty much the majority of delays that you would be able to think of, definitely all the useful ones you can create in there. And you also, like I said, you got the compressors, stereo compressors too. And like I'm using the compressor link, which compresses my left and right side separately. So when I'm doing things like using a chorus, comes through extremely clear because it's not trying to compress it all together. It's literally compressing the left side and the right side separately. And I do have that running in parallel compression as well. So basically on the way out, on the way in, I'm compressing at a 4:1 ratio. On the way out, I'm compressing at a 10:1 ratio in parallel, meaning it's half the wet signal, half the dry signal. So I'm not losing like all my dynamics in there, but I am getting a ton of extra clarity running parallel compression at the end. Without it, it does add just a smidge of volume to it. You know, I did add a slight volume boost with the compression on there, but the clarity is still ridiculous. Like I said, that is the difference between your sound cutting, like cutting in a situation, you know, versus getting lost, especially stuff like chorus. You see, you can still hear that chorus, but you really hear it with that. And, you know, mind you, I got a high pass filter on there, so like I remove all these unnecessary sub frequencies that just make things muddy for bass players. But I added a lot of detail with the compression, and then I added a small amount of saturation with the preamp. Now, let me see if I can find the other one real quick. And if you don't want to have to program all this stuff for your Mercury X, all my preset packs, all my sounds are available in the preset pack on the Patreon. See, this one is just the with no saturation. So yeah, that Mercury X is my favorite has one of my favorite compressors on there as well. That is like one of my absolute favorite compressors. It actually, for me, the Mercury X got rid of a ton of pedals. It got rid of the Source Audio Atlas compressor I used to run at the end of my chain, the HX1, the Plethora X1, the MS70 CDR Plus. It's got rid of the MXR layers. Between these two, the Enzo X and the Mercury X, they have gotten rid of all my filter pedals because I can get literally all those exact sounds and more with the filters and the modifiers in the Enzo X and Mercury X. So, and not to mention, it's the Mercury X isn't a great overdrive pedal and pitch shifting as well. So it's just ridiculous. Yeah, I start off analog, and you know, I will say this much, you know, I like analog compression, but by the time it gets to the people, it really doesn't matter if you end it in analog or digital, you know what I'm saying? That's just like a personal preference. Like people, the end user of your product, which is your audience, can't hear the difference between digital and analog. So it's like I used to have a lot more analog filters, right? The reason I stopped using the analog filters is because it didn't make a difference. Like, and I always had to reset knobs. Like, the reason I love having all these digital pedals like this, every time I take this pedal board out the case, I got to reset this Empress compressor. And that's a little bit annoying for me. I have to make sure that it's a correct and all this other stuff. I can't just take it out the case and play, you know, because if the knobs move while it was off, then it's going to be what it is, you know what I'm saying, when I turn it on. any of these other pedals, any knobs can move wherever they want to when they off, and it doesn't affect anything. So that's something else to take into consideration, the convenience of it. And when you have a compressor that's this good, that literally is going to put up, that is like an 1176 style compressor, and limiter in there. You know what I'm saying? So you can get some nasty sounds out that joint. But yeah, it's my absolute favorite way to end my chain. But not only that, but if I hit this whole modifier, I got my reverb right there. You just got it right on top. You don't have to switch patches or nothing. Just hit the whole modifier. And you still get your nice beefy tone. And I will say this much, that preamp section adds that nice, is the reason why it feels so warm. Like that little bit of saturation I added in the preamp section in this particular preset. Like I said, again, that preset is compression, preamp, and high pass filter. So definitely add in there. Yeah, I would say, man, you see, I said all that, and I still got this Empress compressor up here. You see that, right? I ain't crazy. I said all that, and I still got it on here. You know what I'm saying? I still have my Source Audio Atlas compressor, which is also an amazing compressor. Like when I say that joint sounds really good. You know, it really does sound good, and you really can create just about any type of compression with that Source Audio Atlas compressor. So I wouldn't sleep on that one either. But that's probably my favorite digital, like, standalone compression pedal. But the Empress compressor is just my favorite compressor for bass anyway. You know, I could take just the Empress compressor and do a whole gig. But if you ask me right now, would I take an Empress compressor or a Mercury X to a gig? I'm taking the Mercury X because I can get, even without that extra little boost there, right? Even if I just ran my bass, right? Just my regular bass. Right? You kick that on. I got my bass pretty high. It's going to compress it the right amount, and it's still giving you a little bit of saturation and warmth in there. It definitely just adds something. It just adds something to your sound. That's my favorite, one of my favorite pedals in the world. All these are really my favorite pedals, but you know how I go. That comes and goes. Yeah, the modulations don't matter if they're in there. Here's a quick tip. Filters, modulations, and reverbs are all made from delay. Like, all of those are made from delays. So, you know, and what is the delay? It's really just a quick sample of your sound that repeats. So let me go to a patch that has a bunch of delay. So all this is doing is, so you have the reverb and all that in there, but all the effects are affecting that delay sound. That delay sound, you know, mind you, the delay sound has all these other effects on it, right? So if I take those off, it'll just be the actual delay, like just my actual bass sound. Now you got different types of delay. So you'll have, for instance, like you can have more of like a magnetic type of delay, which is like tape, you know what I'm saying, type of delay. Then you can have like a bucket brigade delay. Then you could just have a regular like standard digital delay that is just the digital delay is the cleanest one. It's going to give you exactly what you put into it and give it back to you. The bucket brigade one is going to give you a little bit of weird artifacts in there and some other stuff to, you know, more ambient, you know, lo-fi type thing. And this is the way I think about it. Then the magnetic one is going to give you like that vintage analog, like warmer type of delay. So that's why people like tape delays. And with a tape delay, if you adjust the time while you're playing it, you know, it also creates an effect. So that's another little tip. See what we got here. Are you playing bass, or are you playing guitar, Sergio? Okay. And okay. Yeah, see, guitar players are all welcome here too, folks. You know what I'm saying? Guitar players, you are more than welcome here as well. You know, we using a lot of the same effects as you can see. You know, and to be honest, like you don't have to do, if you have a Mercury X, all my Mercury X stuff will pretty much work for guitar as well. Because it's the way it is. Like it just, the Mercury X is the most versatile reverb pedal I've ever seen in my life. Okay, Sergio's on bass. And you running 2 amps? Dang, you don't get heavy? From a mic'd up tube amp. Ooh, that's heavy. And clean solid state. So one's tubed and one's clean. You know, I ain't run ambient studio. Yeah. You know, and that's, but you know, that's another reason why the Mercury X is really cool. It actually helps you not have to worry about that. Like the dirtier stuff, say you wanted to have 2 separate signal paths, you would just on the Mercury X, you have, if you come over to the mix page, so you'll have this mix page here. You can, this is my regular, that's my regular bass sound, right? And then there's a separate one. The mix allows you to have, this is all wet. So if I wanted to cut on that rumble sound you're hearing, if I wanted to cut that, I can just go in the filter section, high pass the wet signal, and then it'll have both signals running. You see what I'm saying? Through the same line. You want, you know, you that way if you don't want to have to worry about taking an extra rig and all that extra stuff, it's another way you can do it for like smaller gigs. You know, Mercury X will definitely help you out that, you know, keeping that. See, I can have as much as that wet signal or as little as I want. And like I said, I come over here. Let's just do it real quick. I can come over here. Let's do. I'll do a parametric one just so you can hear. See, I'm high passing this all the way up to, what is that, 4,000? And you can also come over to the reverb section. And you can literally do a high, a low cut on the reverb. Matter of fact, that's what we should do in the first place. You just come over to the reverb page, do a high cut. I mean a low cut. You know, let's see. We'll put it around. Up to 400. If I wanted, say I wanted a dirty sound on the wet signal, or say I didn't want any reverb, I can take that reverb out and the delay. Matter of fact, all pre-delay, right? See, now it's just the delay. This is just my regular bass sound here, right? So from here, I can come over to the preamp section, run this gain up. I'm gonna run the gain. So now if I want a dirtier signal, oh, that's why. Matter of fact, let's put this here. Come over the mix. That's what I want. Right there. Let's hear just that dirty sound. I think I kind of like the tube one a little more. Matter of fact, let's put this at the end. See, it doesn't have the same bottom, or I can actually come over to this filter. Let's put that in the mix. And what we're gonna do, high pass that thing. I know a lot of people like theirs a little bit dirtier than that, but just give me an example of what you got pretty much a 4-channel mixer within each of these units, the Mercury X and the Enzo X. See, Yeah, definitely check out the new ones. The LVX is crazy too. I just haven't gotten one yet, but the LVX is their delay pedal. Insane. But I just think it's nice that you have an effects. Let's take this off. Let's take this micro shift off. And we're gonna detach this from the that's the other thing. I got it on an envelope. I have it on the envelope modifier. So in the modifier section of these um, Series X pedals of Mercury, you have all these modifiers. You get two LFOs, LFO A, LFO B, and all these different parameters for it. You got a sample and hold, which is like a random generator. So you have like a random filter or have it randomly pitch shifting something. And you got the envelope where I got this set to. Is it the, yeah, LFO. So all I'm doing now is detaching the LFO from anything. So now that filter won't sweep, right? I can add as much high passing as I want. I'm gonna use this ladder filter. Yeah, I'm gonna use a ladder filter. Let's do this. I want to have this push. I want to have this. Yeah, it takes a bit of experimenting, guys. It's not always just getting it there, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. Essentially, you can use the filter section to high pass whatever you need to high pass, and then you still have your dry signal. I got this on. I want to push that. this mixer, and I want to put. You can also, you got a wet and dry trim on here as well. So say I needed more signal from my dry signal, I can boost it up here, bring it down. And say I need more from my wet signal. So the preamp section on there gets nasty. And you also have a drive section on the Intel X as well. So let me see what we got here. Yep. Appreciate you hanging with me for a while. Make sure you can come back and hang out with us again. You know, we do this a few times a week, so thank you for hanging with me. Thank you for the questions as well. Do I use an amp on stage, or do you get your mix from the monitors or ears? Okay, so I do both. So depends on where I'm at. When I am doing like just a regular event, I'm using just an amp and I'm running to the house, you know. But if I'm using, like, if I'm at a like if I'm at a church, if I'm playing at a church, then I'm usually using an amp and in ears at the same time. And then when I, of course, in the studio, and when I'm doing like musicals, plays, things like that, or tours, a lot of times I'm not using an amp. I'm using in ears. So it just depends on the scenario that I'm in. But I do use an amp. You know, I actually keep my amps right there. You know what I'm saying? But yes, I use amps and in ears, and depending on the situation, I might use either or both. You know what I'm saying? Depending on the situation. So. But yeah, so I definitely encourage you guys to try out some new pedals. You know what I'm saying? Don't be afraid. You know, they got return policies. You know, you just take that joint back if you don't vibe with it. You know, but give it a shot, and give it a real shot. You know what I'm saying? Spend some time with the unit, learn the unit, pick up the manual. Oh, that's a new one. Pick up the manual. You know what I'm saying? The reason I know how to use all of these pedals so well, and all this MIDI stuff and everything else, is because I read the manuals. That's literally what I do. You know what I'm saying? You can get them on your phone, read them while you're using the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to take up no valuable time, you know, learning the manual. But pull that joint up while you're using the bathroom or something. You know, just read instead of watching videos. You know what I'm saying? Spend a little time learning your gear. It'll go a long way. And it'll keep you from buying extra gear because you didn't know that you already had that feature or sound or whatever it is that you thought you couldn't achieve. You know, a lot of times it's just you got to learn how to do it. So just take some time, spend some time with the manual, watch a few tips and tricks videos and all that good stuff. Don't just watch the reviews. The reviews are not going to give you a lot of times the real information you need to get you going with the pedal. Their review, it's not a manual. You see what I'm saying? Like, or a tutorial. You know, that's why I named my channel All Bass Creations Effects, Tutorials, Demos, and then Review. You see what I'm saying? Like, so because I like to show you guys how to use stuff and when to use stuff. So thank you. I appreciate that, Sergio. Yeah, man, it take you a while to get a rig the way you want to, and it, you know, and then it took a while. The crazy part is somebody asked me how long it took me to set this up. That's almost a trick question. Each pedal, I've spent hours with each pedal. You know what I'm saying? Like tweaking, not except for like the Empress compressor. You didn't really need to spend hours with this. But all this other gear I've spent hours with, even the looper. And the looper didn't have an extreme learning curve, but you got to practice with it and just learn how it works and the feel of it to do looping live and what I'm saying, all this other stuff. So all these pedals have taken me hours to create preset packs for you guys, as well as presets that I can use on gigs. So it only took me an hour to put the board together. The board is not hard to do. All the wires pretty much are under here in a compartment, so I didn't have to do any cable management for real, other than run everything underneath. All the power supply, MIDI built into the board. That only took about an hour. But yeah, programming these individual pedals like the Future Impact, POG 3, Enzo X, Mercury X, even the Tone X ones, it took hours to get all those tone models together. But it takes some time. It takes some time. Don't rush yourself. Don't think because you got a pedal you need to take it on a gig tonight. Like, maybe learn it first, then take it out. If it's a preamp or something, go for it. Compression, go for it. Don't pull out no brand new synth pedal, bringing it to no gig, bro. Like, you setting yourself up for failure. You want to set yourself up for success. So maybe don't take it on that gig. Wait a few days, get some nice stuff going, check some things, and really spend some time with it. Then take it on a gig, That's just some advice to keep you out of trouble. And be mindful of when you're using effects and who you're playing with and who care. Some people like you experimenting on their stuff. A lot of people, they ask me to come up with crazy sounds for their shows and stuff. A lot of times, not even a lot of times, sometimes I'm not even, sometimes I'm the bass player. Sometimes I'm literally playing lead bass. There's people that hire me just to play for like that ambient stuff you hearing me do, chordal stuff, background stuff, vocoder, and I do it all from my bass. So it's, I need a versatile setup to be able to handle all of that. I don't just do straight up playing bass gigs, you know what I'm saying? Even when I'm doing solo gigs, I got to have access to all these different sounds and different things. But the main thing is I try to use sounds when it's appropriate to. No, I don't even touch a 4-string. I don't believe in 4 strings or 5 strings. Any real guitar should have 6 strings. How you gonna call yourself a guitar and you don't have 6 strings? Nah, but it really just depends. I don't like 4 strings or 5 strings, to be honest. It's just too, you have to jump around to do basic stuff that you should be right under your fingers. Like I don't even know why they came out with a 4-string when they already have been making 6-string guitars. Why you come out with a 4-string bass? I'm not sure, but I'll let it rock. But yeah, I never played 4 strings or 5 strings. As a matter of fact, when I went to NAMM this year, I didn't even touch nobody's 4-string or 5-string. If you didn't have a 6-string at your booth, I skipped your booth. You skipped me. You didn't care if I had something to play. You know what I'm saying? I don't play 4 or 5. I play 6-string bass. So, I think it really is a personal preference on strings. I don't play a 6-string because this is the superior bass. I'm just playing with y'all. I play 6 because this is what I like, and this is what I'm comfortable with. This fits my playing style. If 4 and 5 fit your playing style, that is perfectly fine. If 7 or 8, fit your playing style, go for it. Don't let nobody discourage you talking about too many strings. Ain't no such thing. Play what you want to play, and always play what you want to play. You know what I'm saying? Because guess what? Those same people, when you need them for a gig or you need this or that, they ain't going to be there with all that extra, the money to go with that extra advice they got. So keep that in mind. Don't let them, but yeah, and don't let nobody, I would say this much. Thank you guys for showing me love on here, man. I definitely appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I always say that it means the world to me, but you guys have no idea how much I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to hang out with me when you could be doing anything right now. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. If you haven't, hit that like button, subscribe. I am the Bass Negus, Negus. Negus is how you pronounce it. So make sure you follow me on all social media and check out allbasscreations.bandcamp if you want to check out some of my music. I did an entire album with just my bass and effects, no MIDI. You know what I'm saying? That's before I even started using MIDI on my pedal board. But I did that album, and I have some other singles on there with me playing everything, bass, keys, and drums. Then I have a couple songs on there where some of my friends join me on those. But overall, all that's over on Bandcamp. Check it out. Also, don't forget to go to the Patreon to support the channel. You can sign up for $1, $5 every month to just support the channel. And if you want to check out some of my preset packs, they're all on the Patreon for future impact. You got about 20-something preamp packs for the Tone X and Tone X1. You got the Enzo X, Mercury X. You got the C4 synth, the Zoom pedals, multi-stomps, and the Zoom B6. So check all that stuff out over on the Patreon. I definitely appreciate you guys hanging with me. It's been awesome. I will catch you guys later. Take it easy. Peace.